right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is Retired Men's Nude Beach Volleyball League. It's a bit of a mouthful. Phrasing. Take to the court and match up against your opponent in physically and mentally challenging beach volleyball. Retired Men's Nude Beach Volleyball is a single-player, narrative-based volleyball game set in beautiful locations across Massachusetts. Try to guess where the developer's from, I guess. Join the league and play as Len Rizzo as he navigates the later part of his life, one serve at a time. So, this was given to the Golics, and I suppose in contrast to the last SnowRunner game we just covered, there should be quite a bit to say about this.
Maybe a little bit less than you'd think. It is a volleyball game and it is a narrative game, and those two kind of mesh a little bit awkwardly. I guess you do play these. I had to look it up. The volleyball game I'm going to go into first because there are some issues with it. You play the volleyball games to 25 points, which is apparently the official number of points to which volleyball games are played. But it can take a while. Particularly because you can only score when you're serving, which again, that is the actual rules. But the volleyball games are played in a side view for propriety reasons, if nothing else. And it's a little bit tricky to get used to your depth because you are a very flat character model. And it is a pretty deep field court. So a lot of the times I kind of missed. Plus the referee specifically says that he's not actually perfect and will fuck it up sometimes. So there's that. I'm not sure if that's covering for the game not being perfect or if it's intentional. And you don't really have a whole lot of control over where your thing goes. You pretty much just move your character to try to intercept the ball. And if it looks like it's coming toward you and going to go out, don't return it because that's the biggest way to score or get the serve back. And the serving is just a pretty rudimentary golf swing style. But in between points, sometimes you have there's a weird kind of lo-fi, as you can tell by the way that the game is extremely scanline-y, that this is an intentional aesthetic thing. With the referee has voice clips, and they're all very lo-fi. But yeah, in between points, sometimes you get a bit of a discussion with your opponent, with dialogue choices that, I mean, I didn't play through the game multiple times, so I don't know if they actually change much or just are things for you to think about. You also get some introspection during the golf swing serve things, which you can kind of miss if you serve too quickly. What I mean about the lack of precision is even when serving, I a couple of times ended up just serving the ball out of the court to the quote-unquote side, i.e. down, and I don't know if there's any control for that. Other than that, the volleyball is pretty basic. There's only there's not even a separate button for jumping. You only need a button when you're serving. There are specifically no spikes and no jumping because you're old. And they apparently have had some medical issues with that in the Retired Men's Nude Beach Volleyball League. Your joints aren't what they used to be, which is something that even I, at age 36 this April, can kind of feel. So, yeah. Other than that, in between things, you get in between, I guess, weeks, You get a discussion with the referee a lot of the time, or other stuff. And then you also get some dialogue/monologue in the car on the way to the match, which you can control which way you're, like, you can move left and right and increase and decrease your driving speed. But I don't think that actually really affects anything. I didn't like intentionally try driving on the wrong side of the road for a long time. But yeah, you just control your driving while you're introspecting and making decisions about whether to continue introspecting or just drive. It's faster if you decide not to continue introspecting, but I'd argue that the introspecting is probably more of the point of the game than necessarily the volleyball. I lost my first match, and it didn't seem to really do anything. The music is also a little bit weird and lo-fi. There's also a weird thing that happens if you go back to the title screen, which I did partially because I was having a hard time finding a way to pause. And you exit the game from there. It takes you to Lens Desktop, which has some pictures and dialogue snippets and multiple icons that will relaunch the actual game part. And you have to, it's like a Windows 95 or whatever desktop, and you have to go to the start menu and quit to actually close the game. And that's a little bit weird. You can also just like exit out of it or click the corner box, but overall, I don't know, the game wasn't super comfortable, but I think that's partially the point, because it's about getting older and stuff, and like having regrets, and whether or not you can make up for things that you regretted later on in your life. I don't know. It's kind of a weird time to talk about that, and you can actually say that in game. That not sure if talking about this while playing volleyball on a beach naked is the best place, but if it's the one that's available, I guess.
The game clocks in at $6.99.
I guess that's not bad. You'd probably want that if you were interested in trying to play it more times to see what happens if you say different things than you did the first time, or do different amounts of well in the league. I guess I didn't actually quite finish it, just because I ran out of time. The other perhaps small issue is I don't think this game has any saving except between segments, meaning you have to go through the entire before game thing and the entire game before it gets to a save. I could be wrong, but it looked like there were 5 weeks, I think, because you can select the weeks separately after you've done them. That's about what I've got, I think. Do you guys have any questions?
No, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I see what they were going for as far as being an discussion of getting older and stuff. It's not bad, but it's still kind of uncomfortable. But like I said, I think that's kind of the point.
Yes. All right, so that'll about do it for the Nude beach volleyball game here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as we'll be covering The Captain.